Okay, let's unpack this. Get this. After age 30, the average person apparently sheds around 10,000 brain cells every single day.
That is a startling number.
It
Yeah.
really is. But here's the question that's really grabbed me for the past 6 months or so. What if our everyday habits weren't just, slowing that loss down, but actually helping our brains build new pathways, make them stronger?
Well, what's fascinating is that neuroscience is really confirming this now. Our brains aren't fixed at all. They're incredibly adaptable, plastic. They're constantly rewiring themselves based on what we do and, crucially, the habits we keep.
Exactly. And that's really the mission of this deep dive. For the last, half year, I've just immersed myself in the research, the studies, the insights from top neuroscientists, places like Harvard, Stanford,
Ping
MIT.
big names.
Right, to really understand the science behind brain optimization. So think of this as your shortcut, really. We're taking all that dense info and pulling out the actionable habits, the stuff that can actually help rebuild those neural connections.
No overwhelming jargon, just the essentials.
Just the essentials to keep your mind sharp, keep you feeling informed without being, buried in data.
And looking at the bigger picture, it's about actively shaping your own cognitive health, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not just avoiding decline, but proactively building a brain that's, well, more focused, more resilient.
More capable throughout life.
Mm.
So let's dive right into something most of us know really well.
Uh.
That feeling of your attention just being yanked in a million directions.
Mm-hmm.
Does your mind ever feel like a web browser just drowning in open tabs?
Yeah.
You're trying to focus, but nope, mind keeps jumping.
Or you walk into a room and just blank, total blank. Why did I come in here?
Happens all the time. Or meeting someone new and their name, poof, gone, instantly. If any of that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone.
It's such a common experience these days. And like you said, it's rarely some kind of personal failing. It's more about the environment we're in.
Precisely. We're swimming in this culture of constant multitasking demands, right? And those endless digital interruptions.
Oh, absolutely. The phone buzzing, nonstop, email pings, social media feeds, just scrolling forever.
So what's actually happening inside the brain with all that?
Well, those little pings and notifications, they release tiny bursts of dopamine. That's the reward neurotransmitter. Our brains are naturally wired to seek rewards, so over time, this actually trains our neural pathways to constantly crave that next little dopamine hit from a distraction.
And we're literally conditioning ourselves to be more distractible.
Wow. It's a powerful loop. And the science really backs this up strongly. Studies looking at heavy media multitaskers, they consistently perform worse on cognitive control tasks.
Like what kind of tasks?
Things like filtering out irrelevant stuff or smoothly switching between different instructions. Their working memory, that mental sketchpad we use for immediate info, it just becomes less efficient, gets overwhelmed much more easily.
This reminds me of that concept, attentional residue. I think Sophie Leroy coined that.
Yes, exactly. It's a crucial insight. It explains that even when you consciously switch tasks, say, you stop answering emails to work on a report.
Right.
A part of your cognitive bandwidth, your mental resources, stays kind of tethered to the emails.
So your brain's trying to operate in two modes at once, basically.
Pretty much. You can't give the report your full focus because part of your brain is still mentally processing those emails or maybe that interesting article you just clicked away from. And Leroy's research showed this clearly. People interrupted mid-task performed worse on the next thing they tried to do.
That unfinished business just creates this, mental drag.
And the frequency of these interruptions is kind of shocking when you see the numbers. Glory Mark's research, watching office workers, they got interrupted on average every few minutes.
Wow. Every few minutes.
Yeah. And get this, it took them over 23 minutes to fully get back into the groove of the original task after being interrupted.
23 minutes.
Yeah.
Just from one interruption.
Even brief glances at notifications, just seconds, significantly up their error rates.
Just think about how that adds up over a whole day. It's a massive drain on our thinking power, our productivity, our sanity, really. Feels like wading through mental mud sometimes.
It really does. But the encouraging part is we can push back. We have tools.
Okay, good. So what's the first step?
Well, it starts with consciously choosing a different way to engage, which brings us nicely to habit one, actually practicing single tasking and maybe embracing some digital minimalism.
Right, single tasking. Fundamentally, it's about setting aside dedicated blocks of time for just one thing. And crucially, killing all the distractions during that block.
So that could mean turning off notifications, all of them, closing extra tabs, silencing your phone, maybe even putting it in another room entirely.
Yeah, the phone in another room trick is powerful, and digital minimalism sort of broadens that out, right? Reducing the overall digital noise.
Exactly. Things like unsubscribing from emails you never read, setting specific times for social media instead of constant checking, curating your notifications, so only the really critical stuff gets through.
Maybe even using website blockers during work time.
All of that. It's about intentionally simplifying your digital world, not necessarily becoming a Luddite, but making mindful choices to carve out space for deeper focus.
Makes sense. Now, even if you get really good at single tasking, you might still hit that wall, that frustrating mental fog. And that often points to another absolutely critical piece: sleep.
Ah, sleep. It's truly fascinating because it's not passive downtime at all. It's actually a period of intense, crucial brain activity, essential for restoration, both physically and mentally.
That's right. So even if you feel like you got, say, 7 or 8 hours in bed, if the quality was poor, you can still wake up feeling sluggish, that heavy brain fog.
hmm And it's not just feeling tired. It actively messes with your ability to focus, to hold on to new information.
Yeah.
So what is it about bad sleep that scatters our attention and makes us forgetful?
Yeah. What's going on there?
Well, the key is understanding the different sleep stages. You've got REM sleep, rapid eye movement, and deep sleep. REM is vital for processing emotions, locking in procedural memories like how to ride a bike, and kind of integrating the day's experiences. Deep sleep, on the other hand, is crucial for consolidating declarative memories, facts, events, things you learned. And maybe most relevant for daily clarity, deep sleep is when the brain does its main housekeeping.
Housekeeping, like cleaning up.
Sort of, yes. So if these vital stages get fragmented, maybe because of noise, stress, or conditions like sleep apnea.
Then your brain power the next day really takes a nosedive.
Precisely. Research consistently shows even partial sleep deprivation slows reaction times way down. It also messes with decision-making, makes us prone to riskier choices, and our ability to learn new things. It's compromised because the sleep-deprived brain struggles to properly encode new memories. One study put it well. What feels like a memory problem might actually be that you couldn't absorb the info properly in the first place because your processing speed was slowed.
It's like your brain's operating system is just running super slow.
Yeah.
Every mental task feels harder, leading to that feeling of being inefficient and forgetful.
And beyond just memory, there's the glymphatic system. Think of it like the brain's dedicated sanitation crew.
Okay, sanitation crew.
During the day, our active brain cells produce metabolic waste, including proteins like beta amyloid. The glymphatic system kicks into high gear, especially during deep sleep, to flush this waste out of the brain tissue.
So if we're consistently skimping on deep sleep, that waste doesn't get cleared out efficiently.
Exactly right. The glymphatic system is most active in deep sleep. When sleep is short or broken, this waste can build up. That directly contributes to brain fog. Your brain is literally operating in a less clean environment. And this impaired cleaning can also hinder neuron function, slow down communication between brain cells.
And the long-term picture sounds like that buildup, especially beta amyloid, is linked to some serious issues down the line.
It is. The link between that accumulation and an increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases, particularly Alzheimer's, is pretty strong in the research. Yeah. While there's still more to learn, the evidence strongly points to consistent, restorative sleep being absolutely fundamental for long-term brain health. It's a major protector against cognitive decline.
Okay, so this is clearly vital. What are the practical steps then? This really boils down to habit 2, right? Sleep hygiene optimization.
Exactly. It's all about consciously creating the best possible conditions for deep restorative sleep night after night.
So what are the key things? A regular schedule.
Absolutely. A consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends, is huge for regulating your body's internal clock, the circadian rhythm. And your sleep environment needs to be dark, cool, and quiet. That helps melatonin production and the body temperature drop needed for sleep.
Dark, cool, quiet.
Yeah, there.
And what about winding down before bed?
That pre-sleep routine is critical. Give yourself 30 to 60 minutes before you want to sleep to actively wind down. Maybe read a physical book.
Not on a screen.
Definitely not on a screen. Blue light messes with melatonin, so physical book, maybe a warm bath, gentle stretching, meditation, something calming.
And avoiding stuff before bed too, like caffeine.
Yes. Avoid stimulating activities, caffeine obviously, heavy meals close to bedtime, and even things like long or late afternoon naps can interfere with good nighttime sleep.
Okay, optimizing sleep, huge foundation.
Yeah.
But even with good sleep, what we do during the day, like what we eat and how much we move, that also plays a big role, doesn't it?
A profound role. It's time we really shift perspective and see that our daily menu and our activity levels aren't just about physical health. They are fundamental inputs directly impacting how well our brains work.
Our brains are energy hogs, right? They need a constant supply of specific nutrients, and they need efficient oxygen delivery and waste removal, which exercise helps with.
Absolutely. So if you're working on focus, you're trying to improve sleep, but still feel mentally off, the next big areas to look at are nutrition and activity.
So what specific nutrients are we talking about?
The brain has complex needs.
Mhm.
Omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA found in fatty fish, are actual structural parts of brain cells. They're key for cell signaling, and research even links good intake to lower levels of that beta amyloid protein.
And if you don't eat fish.
Flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, even avocados have some omega-3s. Then there are B vitamins, B6, B12, folate, crucial for energy production in the brain and making neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers.
Okay. And antioxidants. We hear about those a lot.
Very important. They fight oxidative stress, which is basically cellular damage that contributes to brain aging. Think blueberries, dark chocolate in moderation,
And
spinach.
leafy greens too, right? Like kale.
Yes,
Oh,
packed with vitamin K, folate, other good stuff. Deficiencies in these. They can show up as poor memory, slower thinking, trouble concentrating.
and it's not just single nutrients, but the whole eating pattern that matters, like the Mediterranean diet.
Exactly. The Mediterranean diet, lots of veggies, fruits, nuts, whole grains, fish, olive oil, less red meat, and sweets consistently links to better cognitive function and lower Alzheimer's risk in big population studies.
And there's the mind diet too.
Right, a hybrid of Mediterranean and DASH diets. It really emphasizes leafy greens and berries, and research suggests it offers significant protection against cognitive decline.
Okay, so diet is key. What about movement? Physical activity.
It's like a catalyst for brain health. When you get moving, your heart rate goes up, more oxygen-rich blood flows to the brain. That delivers glucose, nutrients, and helps flush out waste.
And there's that BDNF stuff, brain fertilizer.
Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, yeah. Exercise triggers its release. BDNF supports neuron survival, encourages the growth of new neurons, neurogenesis, and strengthens synapses, the connections between neurons. Absolutely fundamental for learning and memory.
And you don't need to run marathons for this.
Not at all. Even short bursts of moderate activity, like a brisk 20-minute walk, can improve focus and attention pretty much immediately. And doing it consistently has this cumulative effect: better short-term clarity and long-term protection against decline.
So that leads us straight into habits 3 and 4.
Yep. Habit 3. Prioritizing brain-boosting foods. Consciously choosing things like fatty fish, blueberries, greens, walnuts. And habit 4. Incorporating daily movement. Finding ways to be active consistently.
Like that brisk walk, taking stairs, maybe some quick squats during the day. Active hobbies.
All of the above. Even small bits add up to better blood flow, better focus, more energy.
Okay, so food and movement are sorted, but what about stress? Even with all those good habits, feeling overwhelmed can just shut your brain down, right?
Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
huge factor. Even when you're doing a lot of things right. Focusing, sleeping well, eating healthy, moving, chronic stress can actively interfere with and even damage the brain's ability to function well.
It's like you're building this great cognitive house, but stress is constantly trying to knock it down. And it's not just a feeling, is it? It has real physical effects.
Very real physiological impacts. So why is it so hard to stick to healthy habits when we're under constant pressure?
Yeah, what's the mechanism?
A big part of it is the body's stress response system, the HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. When you perceive stress, this system releases cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Right. Short bursts can be helpful, sharpens focus, mobilizes energy. But the problem is chronic stress work, money, relationships, keeping cortisol levels high all the time.
And that constant high cortisol, that's corrosive, especially for certain brain areas.
Exactly. Particularly the hippocampus, key for memory, and the prefrontal cortex, our executive control center.
Okay, so how does it affect them?
Chronic stress can actually lead to shrinkage in the hippocampus. That impairs memory consolidation and retrieval, and even reduces the birth of new brain cells there.
Wow, shrinkage.
And in the prefrontal cortex, high cortisol weakens connections between neurons. This messes with executive functions planning, decision-making, working memory, impulse control, attention. It literally makes it harder to think clearly and stay focused under pressure.
And that sounds like it could create a really nasty cycle.
It does, a detrimental feedback loop. Stress impairs your thinking and memory, which makes it harder to stick to healthy habits like exercise or good sleep.
Which could actually help the stress.
Exactly. So you might procrastinate more, make impulsive choices like reaching for comfort food, get more emotionally dysregulated, which all creates more stress, further activating the HPA axis and deepening the cognitive impairment.
Oh, that sounds exhausting just describing it.
It is, and chronic stress also hits neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and form new connections. It can reduce synaptic density, especially in that prefrontal cortex. Over time, measurable shrinkage can occur, making the brain less resilient. That feeling of mental paralysis under pressure, it's physiologically real.
Okay, that feeling of being mentally frozen isn't just in your head, but is it reversible?
Often, yes. The good news is these effects are frequently reversible with consistent use of stress reduction techniques.
Okay, good. So that brings us to habit 5, active stress management.
Right. And it's not about eliminating stress, probably impossible for most of us, but about learning to interrupt that stress response cycle, actively promoting calm.
So what kind of things work? Mindfulness.
Definitely. Short mindfulness breaks just focusing on your breath or body sensations for a minute or two. Structured breath work, like box breathing, can calm the nervous system very quickly.
Spending time in nature helps too, right?
Huge impact. Studies show it lowers cortisol. Regular meditation offers longer-term benefits for emotional regulation, focus. It can even change activity in the brain's default mode network, which is often overactive when we're worrying.
So integrating these techniques is crucial for protecting our thinking power and breaking that stress spiral.
Absolutely. But beyond just protecting the brain from the bad stuff, we also need to actively engage it to really unlock its potential.
Right. It's easy to get into a rut, isn't it, where your brain's just kind of coasting on autopilot.
Very easy. And without deliberate mental stimulation, new experiences, and meaningful social ties, our cognitive abilities can start to fade over time. We need to shift from just preventing decline to actively building a stronger brain.
So why is it sometimes hard to prioritize this stuff, to stick with the positive habits?
Often a key reason is simply a lack of genuinely engaging mental stimulation. Not enough novelty, not enough meaningful connection. It can lead to cognitive stagnation. The brain isn't getting exercised enough.
And that's where cognitive reserve comes in.
Exactly. Think of cognitive reserve as a mental buffer. Resilience. It helps your brain withstand challenges like aging or even neurological issues. You build it through things like education, complex work, stimulating hobbies. It's not brain size, but the efficiency and flexibility of your neural networks.
And lifelong learning is how you build that reserve.
It's a primary way. Learning new things literally forges new neural pathways and strengthens existing ones. That's neuroplasticity in action. It makes the brain more adaptable. More connections mean more alternative routes if one pathway gets blocked.
And complex activities are particularly good, like learning music or a language.
Yes. Learning an instrument engages so many brain regions: motor control, hearing, rhythm, memory. Learning a new language challenges you with vocab, grammar, sounds, different ways of thinking. Bilingualism is consistently linked to better executive functions, attention, task switching, working memory.
And research links these kinds of complex hobbies to delayed cognitive decline, right? Reduced dementia risk.
Consistently. It's all about actively boosting that cognitive reserve. Places like Brain HQ have done a lot of work showing the benefits of this kind of mental training.
And it's not just solo activities. Connecting with people is also vital.
Absolutely vital. Meaningful social connection isn't just nice, it's necessary for optimal brain function. Think about it. Conversations require active listening, processing info, recalling memories, planning responses. Social activities involve planning, cooperation, seeing other perspectives.
And isolation is bad for the brain.
Studies clearly link social isolation and loneliness to increased risk of cognitive decline and dementia. On the flip side, strong relationships and diverse social networks provide mental stimulation, emotional support, which buffer stress and contribute to overall well-being. Both the quantity and, maybe even more so, the quality of connections matter.
And then there's novelty, breaking routine.
Yes, the power of novelty. Our brains are drawn to new experiences. Consciously breaking routines, new places, different activities, even taking a new route home stimulates the brain.
Why is novelty so powerful?
It triggers dopamine release. Dopamine is key for motivation, reward, learning, and memory consolidation. Novelty essentially flags an experience as important, worth remembering. Plus, variety enhances cognitive flexibility and promotes divergent thinking creativity.
Okay, so this leads us to the final two habits. Habit 6, lifelong learning and novelty-seeking.
Right. Committing to always learning classes, books, skills, puzzles, and consciously breaking routine, seeking out new experiences, pushing your comfort zone a bit,
And habit 7, prioritizing meaningful social connection.
nurturing relationships, scheduling time with people, joining groups, having deeper conversations, making connection a real priority.
And you mentioned some things give a quicker boost.
Yeah, while consistency is key for all of these, focused physical exercise can give you that immediate lift in clarity and energy from increased blood flow. And sometimes really focused learning or cognitive training can make you feel mentally sharper quite quickly, too.
So there we have it, 7 interconnected habits. Not just about preventing decline, but actively building a sharper, more resilient mind. And understanding the why behind each one really helps make them stick, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And like the Alzheimer's Association says, these healthy lifestyle habits can make a tangible difference in brain health. It's empowering, really.
Totally. And you don't need to tackle all 7 at once. Maybe just pick one. The one that resonates most right now or feels easiest to start with, and focus on consistency. Lasting change comes from sustained effort, not trying to be perfect occasionally.
That's a great point. So maybe the question for you listening right now is, which one of these habits feels most exciting or doable for you to start exploring? That's often the best place to begin.
Definitely. And for more actionable strategies and deep dives like this one, please do subscribe. Thanks so much for joining us today. Keep learning, keep exploring.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.